Alright guys, welcome back to another one. Recently we did a turkey hand load video and I had a few requests to show how I put together that last 10 gauge load, the 2 3/4 ounce nickel plated number 6 shot. Well, that's what we're doing here. It's actually a fairly simple load, it's just really heavy for the gauge. Now you can do up to 3 ounces in 10 gauge, but like I said in that video, those are a little bit challenging to get to pattern well unless you're using, so far the only choke we found that it likes is the Indian Creek 690, which is 12 gauge full choke diameter in a 10 gauge. So what would you even call that, like super extra full or something? I don't know. But it being, like I said, a simple load, we're using a Remington brand new unprimed. I have a Federal 209A primer in it. You need a mag primer for this, or should use one anyway. But Remington Hull. These come unskived or skived too. I think it's actually pronounced skived, but I went ahead and did that to it, so it's ready to load now. 43 grains of Hodgdon Little Gun, which I have coming out of the Lee Perfect Powder Measure. Again, thanks Gary. Now, the Precision Reloading TUPRW 1035, that is a mouthful. Most people refer to it as the Tupperware series. These wads, the Tupperware wads, are insanely thick and really, really sturdy. Like a lot more sturdy than a TPS wad or BPD-10 LBC series. Yeah, they're like twice as thick. Not twice, but you can hear that. It's a heavy-duty wad. And these hold 2 3/4 ounces of number 6 shot at least, flush with the end of the wad. So optimum load. We done know it patterns really well. This is running 1200 FPS. We actually got 1208, so slightly more, but we can call it a 1200 FPS load. So 2 3/4 ounces at standard speed. It's got some serious muzzle energy, some serious recoil too, but the pattern is awesome. Next, we're using some, well, start with a 1/8 inch felt wad. I said 1/4 inch in the video, but it's actually 1/8 of an inch. And Ballistic Products nickel plated number 6 shot. You could use any shot you want as long as it fits, but actually a little bit of overstack is fine because we do need an overshot card too. And some Ballistic Products buffer. I'm using the ITX buffer here. I did use the Ballistic Products mix number 47 buffer in that original shell, but the ITX I actually like a little bit better. I just had this sitting on my dresser here whenever I was putting that shell together, so that's what I used. Lastly, we're using again an overshot card. This is actually one section of a Maxi Nitro card from Ballistic Products. And yes, it's mangled because I pulled it out of a shell I had previously put together. Okay, so to start off, we need 43 grains of Little Gun. I have a new scale in case you guys missed that, but whenever we're putting together giant loads like this, we always check our powder charges, even though these things are pretty accurate. 42.9. That's pretty much 43 grains, so good to go there. Now we need our Precision Reloading 10 gauge wad. You could also use a TPS, but I see no need to switch out wads. We done know this one patterns amazingly well. 1/8 inch of felt wad. This is the Ballistic Products 20 gauge 1/4 inch felt wad. I cut it in half. They do also sell 1/8 inch though. Next we need 2 3/4 ounces of nickel plated number 6 shot, which I have in this empty Remington Gun Club. It's once fired, and this is how high the lead comes up. You could crimp that and it would come out looking like it was a completed shell. But if you guys want to know how much 2 3/4 ounces in grains, that would be 1,203 grains, or 78 grams if you're in other parts of the world. Go ahead and dump that in your shell here. Give it a shake. And all of that shot, minus maybe like a layer, should be inside that wad. And by the way, that was a full 2 3/4 ounce load. I'm not downloading the lead payload weight to make up for buffer. I did use the full 2 3/4 ounces. But now we need, I think I did a scoop and a half of buffer here. I'm using the ITX buffer this time. which again has been rebranded to BSB, but it's the same thing. Go ahead and get that tamped down into place. Once it's flush with the top row of pellets, it's good. You can go ahead and throw your overshot card on and crimp. The total payload weight after adding the buffer is 2.77 ounces, so just a fuzz more than 2 3/4. And we need a paper thin slice of an overshot card. That'll help keep the buffer in, and it'll give us a little bit nicer looking crimp. Now, this press has been modded to load 10 gauge. Backstation is the 6-point crimp. With this thing, you can actually do an 8-point if you want to, although 8-point 10 gauge, that's kind of weird. But you guys can do you. Actually, OMV, the maker of this die right here, has 5- and 4-point crimp starters for all gauges, I believe. But this is the OMV Rebasator die, and this is what it looks like. It creates a dome after your pre-crimp station. You'll see what it looks like in just a second. And that is going to get you factory or better than factory crimps on new hulls. Now, I just said that, and watch this one come out ugly as sin. It has happened before. I don't know if you guys caught this, but whenever I was giving this thing the, I'm going to call it middle crimp, I actually buckled that hull just a little bit right here. Now, not nearly bad enough to where you can't chamber or shoot it, but I like making good-looking shells. Not that that's important, but anyway, it just sucks to lose, you know, good, expensive 10-gauge hulls. But we have the pre-crimp form. Now let's try this again. I buckled it because I'm standing at this press sideways, and I have no idea how much force I need to apply downwards because, again, standing at it sideways. But I'll try not to mess this one up. We got it. There we go. Anyway, once you have it looking like that, guys, these things are like 25 bucks from Ballistic Products when they're in stock. And they are attached to rubber freeze expansion plugs, which are $14 for, I think, 4 on eBay. Oh yeah, crimp looks great on this. Yeah, there we go. Shallon, bring me your phone. I can't get this to show up on camera.
Okay.
I need your light. Never mind, I got it.
Okay.
And here's what the crimp looks like, guys. Looks just like a factory shell. There is no need for a GOT B&2 or any sort of taper crimp. But there you go, 2 3/4 ounces of lead number 6 shot. Now, with a load like this, such a heavy load, you're going to have amazing pattern density, especially with that number 6 shot, 1200 FPS. This load is sort of, I don't want to say poor man's TSS because, well, I'll just say poor man's TSS. You don't need TSS with a load like this, is what I was trying to say. That being said, you can get 10 gauge TSS all the way up to 3 ounces from Salt Creek Custom Ammunition. That's one heck of a load. The advertised velocity is 1070 FPS, but we've chronographed it out of my 28-inch Browning BPS using a extended choke, so we'll call it 30-inch at 1117 and 1168 FPS. Now, I'll tell you what, that Salt Creek 3-ounce load throws a pattern out of the Indian Creek 690 at 42 yards. I think it was 19 inches by 19 inches, and it was just nightmare on turkeys. Crazy pattern. That's some good shells. If you're going to load a load like this, I suggest maybe getting a recoil pad if you're sensitive to recoil. Yes, 10 gauges weigh sometimes upwards of 12 pounds, but guys, a load like this still produces a lot more recoil than factory 2 or 2 1/4 ounce loads. Those I'd feel comfortable shooting all day long. In fact, we've shot them shooting clays before. They're nothing, but a load like this is 5, and you start to kind of feel it a little bit. But anyway, guys, I guess that's going to do it for me. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. And if you want to, go check out our Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month, and every penny we get goes right back into the channel. A link to that, as well as a link to our Instagram, Rumble, and merch store will be in the description below. But other than that, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.